Just there. Living what you know, not what you believe, what you think. Share to a couple pages. Good morning, Brother John. Share this to one more page. Good morning, Glory in Central Florida. How's Lake Okeechobee doing? They get that cleaned up down there? Dang. EPA and well, FDA and all the regulators that have to do with allowing massive agricultural destruction of ecosystems. All right, good morning, Courtney, Brother David. Good morning, Brother John. Those some large stones on the backs. And that flying salsa. Yeah. I kind of want to finish the discussion from yesterday, and I apologize to everybody. Life gets busy sometimes. It's hard doing this, y'all. You know, sometimes you gotta listen with Matt when Master calls. You got to go. Every morning in America, we wake up. There's no American dream, but damn it, we sure are fighting the forces of destruction, poverty, being enslaved. You don't make enough. All right, hang on, let me go. Today, I want to talk about evolve. Did I spell that right? Evolve? Yeah, good. Y'all gotta check my spelling. Gotta evolve on what we know, not what we think. What we think is important, is critical. What you think is good. But we need to move forward. This kind of camps on from yesterday. So yeah, I got the UFO up there. So it's not gonna be anything on UFOs. I think it's important. It's an important piece of evolving and moving forward, realizing that we don't know as much as we think we know, but also let's see. Type in a password. There we go. Be the upgrade. YouTube. Gotta be the upgrade. Be the upgrade. Be the upgrade of the previous generation. They did the best they could. You know, and we have to do the best we can to move things forward. I don't think that we actually do. I have that name. All right. Now, do a sound check. Everybody fussing at me. Y'all so silly. Can everybody hear me well? I get the comments. Can I get a thumbs up, a like, if you can hear me well? Is the volume okay? Is the music? Because I want to get into a discussion and I don't want everyone flipping out. I can't hear you. Speak louder. What's that noise in the background? What you doing? Are you CIA? All right, can y'all hear me good? Let me see. Oh man, 8 shares and 20 people here. I suck. I suck that bad, y'all? Is it really that bad? That bad you can't share me with your friends? Where's Deborah at? Where's Deborah? Deborah, and Deborah shared you. Thank you, Deborah. I love you, sis. She shared yesterday. Her friends do not like me. Boy, they don't like your comments. They don't like me. If you're one of Deborah's friends, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about her other friends. Truth is so important. Moving forward, using modernly what we know to move our thought processes forward, to progress, is very important. Let me find YouTube comments. Very important. So I apologize to everybody yesterday. I was in a rush. I was in when Master calls. You pick up your bag, go get that cotton. Pick up your bag, go get that cotton. So I had to rush yesterday's conversation. But they all kind of feed into each other. So I think a lot of people sometimes will come out there and look at like a lot of the discussions people are having when they talk about what a truth community looks like. You actually have to sometimes jump in, don't say anything, and just focus, right? Listen to what people are saying. Because if we're all indoctrinated, then it means that none of us really know. You know, we're what we know is always skewed a little bit. And so yesterday, Peter, I forgot his last name. If anyone looked him up, Peter Leverand, something like that. His point being, I'm trying to get situated here. His point being that in our ancient past, our ancients saw some things, and those things began this path that we landed up in for science and religion. That something came here, they tried to write it down, put it in stone and whatever, and that began this seeking God thing, right? And some sought to do God's magic, beginning chemistry, beginning religion. Why did God leave and why won't God come back? God's not coming back because you did something wrong. And that how it worked. God did something wrong. God left. It started a cargo cult around, because it was a traumatic event, the way he put it. It was a traumatic event that these things came out the sky. And we started a cargo cult. And God won't come back, and it's your fault. So I don't know what you did, but I'm gonna get my army and I'm gonna come kill you because God loves me. God can't love you. I'm involved in my concept of what this God thing is. I think that God, outside of the fact that it's probably more internal and it is probably more of a source thing that we all have, or all have relationship with. I think quantum physics is important. I think quantum entanglement and those discussions are important because I think it begins to demonstrate to us that if we're quantum entangled with everything in the universe, and when you think about a thing, right, because it gets back to that experiment with the particle and the wave, when something thinks about an atom, it becomes a particle when something's measuring it. It's not just thinking, it's measuring. When something's observing, when there's a conscious focus on a thing, it becomes a particle. When nothing focuses on it, it's a wave, right? And I think this is where this whole praying thing comes from. I think when you focus on this God thing, this source, this universe, this creator, this child programmer, the owner of the laptop of the simulation that we all live in, the whole universe, it quantumly entangles you somehow, and you pray for something, and that thing comes true. And I think the ancients all were more in tap with that than what we are. We've pretty much destroyed that technology. I think it's a technology. I think prayer is some kind of technology none of us understands. I think Moses being one of the keys, and I'll try to, y'all want to talk about yesterday, we can, in terms of what I started to talk about, and then we can bring that in today, because I'm going to kind of wrap it in today. And this gentleman's name is Moses, by the way. I don't know if y'all, that's not his real name. That's not his birth name. It's not his real name. It's the name that was given to him by the cultures that grabbed some of the scriptures that were initially plagiarized by him that he got from earlier texts. That's why I like to always look at history. I think scripture is just history. But always remember Moses, as much as he may have or have not done, whether that rod and staff were some magical thing he found from Thoth, because Thoth built the first pyramid, or you can call him Hermes Trismegistus, whatever you want to call it, before you let your Christian bone flip you out. The Hermes Trismegistus that's where your tri-God came from. So using what we know, not what we think. Right? Building the world on what we know. We know that Moses, in that time, the Egyptians had ancient text. I think someone called the geoglyphs Naga were some of them. They had a library then like we do today. They had a library then like we do in the Library of Alexandria. Moses tried to look at the geoglyphs and write a bunch of scriptures to document the world that came before him, that world of Thoth and Hermes, whatever you want to call him, because he had many names. And he got a lot of the translations wrong. And this is what I'm talking about in terms of, because I have a lot of Christian conservative friends. I don't even know what I consider myself. I just want to know what's true. You know, I want to actually seek God. My whole life I sucked pastors. I worshiped a book of scriptures. I would say things like, the Bible is the word of God. And I was indoctrinated to say that because that's what my parents said, what my grandparents said. But the more you really, really look into it, the more you realize that there are copies of copies of copies of copies of copies. And if you're really trying to figure out the truth behind what we are, how we got here, and what a God wants from us, or the technologies God left, spiritual or physical or chemistry, whatever, then you have to be honest with what's being discovered now. So, as an example, what's right here next to me, this is it is a picture from the chariots that they're finding in the Red Sea, right? Because, and I'm not talking about religion. This is just like an entryway into a discussion. I have no interest in talking about religion. I really don't care what you think. I think something, you think something, and I think some crazy things. I think God is within you, and whatever is communicating with me may not be what's communicating with you. I don't think that anybody has an authorship over God. I don't really think there should be necessarily pastors and ministers that guide you to believe and post what they believe. Nobody knows what interfaces with you. Nobody knows what you're interfacing with. Nobody knows what you're quantumly entangled with, or what wave you're on, or dimension. There's just so much to it. I can't get into it. It makes my head hurt. But the point is, history was documented. And now we know that, yes, there are chariots all under the Red Sea. I think they said something like 5,000 bodies. I forgot what university is actually doing the research into that. I can play the video if you want. There's a lot to cover in a short period of time. That's always kind of how this goes. But starting to realize that the previous generation never really knows it all, and to move everybody forward, the next generation, and give them more truthful information, narrowing down, the text that came far before the Bible, Quran, and Gita, and these books that people are willing to murder each other over, the understandings of the people at the time who couldn't translate the text that well. Today is a fabulous time to be alive. Why? Because we have a time of immense peace. I know, I said that, didn't I? That came out my mouth. We do not live in a time of immense peace. But going back, there is more peace in certain areas than other areas, and it's allowing us to actually piece together archaeology, study these scriptures, and the Zechariah Sitchins, and being able to use the internet and universities to put together all this information, hopefully the churches and the temples, and try to figure out what we are and where we came from. So I think that increases our understanding generation to generation to generation as to what we are and why we're here. I have no doubt, there's no doubt in my mind that we're software. There's no doubt in my mind, we are definitely software, and something wrote us. We are all wave energy. You are literally energy. You are literally light. Science doesn't debate that no more. Religion never debated that. You shouldn't debate that now. The only real question is, why are we here? And so I like to look at a lot of interesting theories to try to figure it out. But I think I appreciate Moses from one real perspective. I appreciate him from the perspective of he lived at a time in Egypt where there was immense suffering and pain and oppression, and he wanted to move everybody forward. Maybe that's why he was going through the ancient texts written in Naga, Arabic, and different languages to try to figure out this can't be us, this can't be real. We have to move forward. Slavery is wrong, oppression is foul. Treating women like cattle is not good. In doing like some of the studies I try to do, I look at what other people say, and there's always these new cults getting created, right? Like there's a lot, if you start looking at Kemet in Egypt, there's like this whole following that they get that something came before the modern scriptures, but they have this worship of Egypt. And they say things like Egypt revered women. They loved women. Women were their gods. And it sounds great, right? Because we all want to look back and we want to believe that what came before was better than what we got today. I can't go along with that. Like I can't, I'm not trying to leave one cult for another cult, right? We are what we are. The same brain that was in the Egyptians is the same brain in us. And the idea that they treated women any better than what we treat them as today is illogical. It's completely illogical, right? Now you go back before that, times when maybe we were a little more evolved and we were a little more spiritual and less physical and less greedy and less using our strength to dominate others, then maybe. But the Egyptians were not good to women. They did not worship women. They did not appreciate women. They did not see women as equals. They didn't then, and they don't now. Why? Because people vote. People vote. As an example, look at the behavior of people right now. They gang up and they use force and strength in numbers to force the weaker to do exactly what they want them to do. And that's all countries everywhere. So this idea that our behavior in mass, as above, so below, this idea that the Egyptians were these great people to be revered and worshiped is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. We don't do it today, so you can't convince me they did it back then. You're just looking for another cult to worship. It makes sense that you want today to end and today to stop, but let's not make fantasies about the past. But Moses was good enough, anyway, that he tried to look back at the past at a greater time, translate the text, and bring people forward. Brings about some interesting questions. How the hell did he part the Red Sea? How the hell did he part the Red Sea? Go through all the theories you want. The bottom line is the Red Sea was parted. So you can say it was God, you can argue with other people what you think it was, but if you weren't here, what was that, a couple thousand years ago, then, I'm interested in your theory. I'm not interested in what you know. I kind of think that we were more in tune with this God thing. We were more in tune with this source thing. We were more in tune with this spiritual technology, the things that Thoth tried to teach us. And the Emerald Tablets that resonate all throughout the Bible, all throughout the scripture. Going back to an earlier text is very important. But this constant need to move forward and build a better world, it can't stop because we just started learning how to make money and got bank accounts. We have to keep moving forward. We have to move forward on what we know, generation to generation, to uncover more of the things in the past that aren't really supernatural. They're just technologies we don't understand. And we need to be honest about that. And so now, if Moses really parted the Red Sea, and there are thousands of bodies under there, first of all, I don't think we get to know. I don't think it's going to be on CNN, ABC, NBC, Fox. I think it's going to be in obscure places on the internet till they wipe it clean because they need people fighting. They need you to be a violent Christian. They need you to be a violent Muslim. They need you to be a violent Hindu. And when I say violent, I don't mean take up the sword and go stab someone or take up your military to go kill someone. They just need you to be violently abusive to their sovereignty, making them want to be like you or forcing them to be like you. That's enough violence. That's a violation, whether you use voting, whether you use a military, a knife, or a sword, it's still violence. That's an individual creature that has its own individual interface with whatever this thing is called God, and that thing can tell it anything it wants to know. It can get any kind of downloads into its programming that it wants to send. But they need you to be violent, and that's part of why I think the CIA hid that Adam and Eve story, because it starts to break apart the modern narrative that brings about all the world conflicts that keeps all the 98% silly monkeys fighting each other instead of trying to build a better world. As long as you keep religion as a source of conflict and race and nation and poverty and different class structures, then you can go look for Moses's staff. You can go look for the rod. You know, I mean, if Moses was embarking on a voyage like Hitler was, like the Nazis was, like they were trying to find ancient technology maybe based in crystals, maybe based in spiritual energy, maybe technology left here by those who came to dominate us. But you got to keep the majority in conflict to do that. So anyway, I was going to just set that up. A lot of interesting things in the fake news today. A lot of interesting things. All right, let me look at comments, then man, I wanted to go through the news, but we're always so daggone short on time. So short on time. Let me do this. I'll do a preview of the things I found to be interesting, and then we'll just do comments and whichever ones y'all want to watch or whatever, we can do that. Because I have to be obedient to certain time structures here. I don't do this for a living. I know I want to. It would be nice to, but no, I don't get paid to do this. This is what I was checking out today. Interesting. Oh, people living in pods. This was interesting. This was out in California. The millennials have decided to live in pods, and what she was kind of talking about, I forgot her name. She does that show. She's basically saying that people are living in pods. They're like little, I guess, sustainable matrix type communities, but pods, and they share kitchens and they share everything else. They share bathrooms and common areas. And her question is, how did we actually get into the matrix? And you know, how did people get in the pods based in the movie? Well, people, they willingly walk into the pods. They willingly choose to walk into the pods. You always have some leader that convinces them that this is the right thing to do. I found that to be interesting. EPA denies that Roundup is a carcinogen. I found that to be interesting. Why? Because the Orange Man, you know, Orange Man bad. Everything the Orange Man does is bad. You know, you can't even say his name. You can't even say the word Trump. You have to say 45. But well, one thing he wanted to do is he wanted to get rid of the EPA. Where the heck is my coffee? And that's a good thing. Great thing. Great thing. Fantastic. It's nutritious and delicious. Why? Because the EPA is a corrupt organization. They take too much money from the oligarchical structures and big corporations. And so they're denying that Roundup even causes cancer. And so meanwhile, you have, what was it? All the kids study are urinating out 11 of the popular pesticides. Many of them are carcinogens. EPA says Roundup is safe for the human race. They're saying that it is effective. What do they say about vaccines? It's safe and effective. You know, and why would they say that? Because they're a corrupt organization. That's why they need to be completely deleted and start over with something that's actually based in environment protection, protecting and sharing ecosystems, not destroying them for each other. He's right about that. So I think that's one thing that you really don't have to conflict over. You can stop fighting over. Big business runs the world. Big business, because we conflict with each other, they get to make all the decisions. So we live on greed Earth, and we're poisoning the entire planet until it poisons and murders us. The EPA, they are in bed with the pesticide and chemical companies. They are murdering species all over this planet. All the sentient species And I want to include humans in that, but we're not sentient yet. We're working on it. We still murder and kill each other too much. There's no way, if we're all a part of the same organism, the same ecosystem, the same animal, we're cousins all over this planet, and we're the ones who are making this decision to destroy our own environments. That's not sentient. We're the ones making our own decisions to get together and use force to pick and choose who gets to bomb the children. That's not sentient activity. But we're killing ourselves. Facebook of the dead, yeah, that's interesting. So I think they're saying in another few years that there are going to be a couple billion dead people on Facebook. That, you know, who owns the data, that conversation. They were making the point, you don't own the data. When you die, if you don't have a group of people you give your password to or something, you don't own that data. When you're dead, you're dead. Facebook owns it. That's how this works. That's why they have user agreements. Expecting oil prices to go up. Yep, and this is one orange man bad. We can say that. We can say that on this one. So yes, oil prices are going way up. Get ready for it. Yeah? Whatever plans you have for travel this year, you might want to, you know, limit them. Make sure you budget very well. Oil prices are going to go through the roof. Why? Because we're going to go start a war with Iran. We're going to pretty much destroy Venezuela. We're going to engage in the same colonization of killing our cousins somewhere else for this oil that we're going to hand off to the oligarchical billionaires and elites because of religion and tribalism and this left, right, and all of this other immature activity that people are involved in, this ridiculous approach to demonic behavior that they call politics. So of course, the oil prices will go through the roof because no one can equate Iran's production. And that's what's supposed to happen. That's what's supposed to happen. When you elect billionaires to run your government and you elect sellouts because they got black skin, yes, that is exactly what's supposed to happen. They will get in bed with big corporations and the billionaires want gas prices to go up. You think the billionaires are all working together with the political parties trying to keep gas prices low? No, they make money on gas prices going up. They make money on convincing you that they're there for your interest. All right. What's Chris Hedges talking about? I forgot. Anytime that brother talks, why is this thing so minimal? I can't even see the title. Chris Hedges, every time he speaks, I kind of pay attention. I think I hover it over, it'll show the actual title. Chris Hedges, why America's smartest are being silenced. Oh yeah, right. So they were talking about why you never get any truth in the news. Well, because all the media is owned. And if you say things that are outside of what makes them profit, then you don't get to be on the news. You don't get to be popular. Like, why would the media, you know, you can say, oh, the media is demonic. Well, they engage in demonic activity, but why would they bite the hand that feeds them? If you acting stupid and them lying to you and them making you tribalistic, fighting with other poor people makes them a lot of money and gets more people to tune in and watch the news, then hell yeah, that's what they should do. They should do that. They're abusing you. Yeah, it is, and that's not a good thing, but you consent to the abuse. You put yourself out there. You watch the news. You share the news. You believe the news, and you fight with other poor people over the news. And you know all the billionaires own the news. You know it's owned by 6 corporations. So if we're that dumb, then that's exactly what's supposed to happen. What's the other one? Let's see. What is the state of journalism in America? There is no journalism in America. America is dead when it comes to news. None of it is true enough. I'm not gonna say none of it's true. I'll say none of it's true enough. They're always telling partial stories to make you stupid, to get activity out of you, to get some form of behavior, some form of lesser evolved activity to stop you from moving forward. What else was there? U.S. government has your DNA. Of course, U.S. government has your DNA. That ain't everybody's DNA. They save it and they keep it. I don't know why. It could have something to do with 5G or 6G or 7G. Maybe they can tune signals to create problems because you're not actually biological. You're wave energy. You're literally a program. Maybe they found another way to reprogram people. I don't know. You're getting your DNA for a reason. Maybe they're realizing how to live forever. I don't know. Yes, Katie, journalism, it's a farce. It's a farce, but you know what's interesting, Katie? And I'm trying to read comments as I go. I know I was just running my mouth for a minute. I'm trying to read as I go. You know, the thing that's interesting is that, I was thinking about previous generations, how they were just like better at spotting liars. Like they could see between the cracks, but we're losing this skill set. It's not even that, and I'm not totally convinced that people are so much fooled as they are happy being fools. You know what I mean? Like you know how like when people are lying and you can tell, but if those lies sync up with what makes you happy, then you're happy to go along with that. And I think that's what it is. I think we have a lot of disingenuous people, and I think that they can stay disingenuous because we don't call them out on it. And that from that perspective, I believe in call out. I believe in call out culture. I don't believe in calling people out that you know, but I believe in calling out people who obviously don't know, or obviously telling part of the story. I'll be the first to admit, I don't know enough about anything to kill anybody. I don't. I mean, I think there's some things that I know, and I want to move forward and evolve my new understandings of scriptural text history from going way back, things we don't understand and how they sync up with archaeology and quantum physics and all that great stuff. But I don't know enough to go vote that you're going to drop bombs on people. No, I don't, and I'm not going to do that. Why? Because those kids over there are my cousins. So no, I'm completely against voting in every form and shape until you get somebody sentient, who says sentient things, who's doing sentient things, who's moving the human race forward on leveraging the positive things in humanity, not always the negative things to get them tribalistic to fight with their neighbor, with their brother or their sister. It's not that I know, it's that I know what others don't know. We have enough facts. I don't think we always have enough facts to know what's true, but we usually have a lot to know what's not true, you know, and that can apply to everything, to the synthetic drugs and the vaccines and the flu shots, to the news media on this side or that side, or the Democrats or Republicans, you know. And I think moving forward is just being honest and telling people who are disingenuous that they're disingenuous and not voting for them. Oh, the last thing I thought was interesting right here is look what they found in, where is this, Greece? Every time you dig down, you find stuff. Look what they found in a subway dig. They found more pottery and more things from people who came before us. Actually, I do want to that kind of fits with the topic of that as we move forward and we learn more, that we should evolve what we know.
If you would, a city where subways aren't a place to just get in and out of to get from work or back home, right? But a place filled with art and archaeological treasures from the past. Well, those places do exist in Europe. Not now. Recent discoveries in the northern Greek city of, you ready for this? Thessaloniki, are putting metro expansion work on hold. News with Rick Sanchez producer Joseph Ricci has this story for you.
For modern viewers of the news, Greece is a land of protest, tourism, and history. Now some new archaeological finds could be putting modern progress on hold. Everyone knows about Athens and the Acropolis, where the world-renowned temple to Athena, known as the Parthenon, sits. But Greece's second city, Thessaloniki, far to the north of the capital, is also home to wonders of its own. Recent construction on the metro in Thessaloniki has revealed up to 300,000 incredible artifacts dating from all eras of the ancient and medieval world.
I think it's unparalleled in this part of the ancient world. It's a built-up city. There's still a lot of people that live there. It's the second city of Greece. And these excavations allow the kind of insights on a scale that is not usually allowed in this kind of urban environment.
Some of the most amazing discoveries, like this golden leaf crown, date to the period of Alexander the Great and his successors. But how long will it take to extract the hundreds of thousands of artifacts, and will the metro eventually get built?
So I think it's the kind of construction.
All right, I'm gonna stop there. How close you can watch the whole thing? Why is it important? Well, Hermes Trismegistus, where did he get his name from? The Greeks. Yes, they renamed people from the ancient text that Moses translated to. And his name, again, was Thoth as well. And it's important because the argument is, well, we need to keep moving forward, we need to keep building the modern subway so people can get to work, so we have less traffic. So we can make more money and shove more money in bank accounts. We got to keep the GDP going, keep bombing and killing other people, keep driving forward society. And I'm against all of that. I think you have to stop. I don't think there's a balance between building out the modern world and discovering the ancient world. I think when the ancient world is revealed, we need to know where we came from. Otherwise, we're going to go back the same way we left. And I don't think going back is a good idea. I think when you start to uncover these things, because the Greek gods, the Egyptian gods, all the Mayan and Aztec gods, they're all the same people. The people back then weren't dumb like you think they were, right? The same brain that's in your head is in their head. The same skepticism in your head was in their head, right? They didn't look up and see gas and smoke and swamp gas and say that. They looked up and they saw things and they met creatures that could do things that were beyond imagination, which is why they would get together in chariots and go murder a couple thousand other people because you displayed and did things that nobody could explain at the time. You know, where do I sit with like this Christianity and Jesus Christ and who is Jesus? Well, Jesus obviously was something that could do things that nothing else could. Nothing else could. So you can put that anywhere you want to put that, but that's just my current belief based on what I know. That thing, that if it said it was the Son of God, I don't really have any debates for that. If people would walk for thousands of miles to touch the hem of its garment, hundreds of miles, and get healed, like you see that today. Like, I won't say you don't see that today, but when you see that today, people, they get in cars and airplanes and they'll fly to Texas because some guy is touching people and they're falling out of wheelchairs and getting up. And they get there and what happens? They touch them or he touches them, maybe some people fall and you get in line and they touch you and you don't feel nothing. And then you get back on your airplane, you go home. You get back in your car, you drive, go home. You don't start. Nobody in Texas healing people are starting religions that are changing the world. Nobody in Texas touching and healing people is calling the modern Caesars, the CIA and the FBI and the police state and presidents to go down there and murder them the same way Caesar did. Oh no, that's not happening. So you'll know when it's real because you'll see people migrating. When you see an American willing to walk 300 miles because somebody's healing somebody in a city called Galilee or Chicago, that's when you know. That's when it's hot. But the same brain in their head's in your brain. So there is a sort of spiritual technology based on us being programs and wave energy that they knew more about back then that we seem to forgot about now. So that's why I think looking back at the Greek gods, looking back at the Egyptian gods, that's our level of discovery into archaeology now. And that's why I'm so focused on ancient archaeology. We got to know where we came from to know where we should be going if we want to seek those God things. I like that UFO. It's fun right there. All right, I'm gonna go through some comments. Besides the fact Christ was a peaceful person, that's I think by far that's why I affiliate myself with Christ, not with modern Christianity, but with Christ, because Christ, someone who's being Christ-like when you see that they're not hurting anyone, they're not murdering anyone, they're not in any political parties, they're giving people the shirt off their back. When someone knocks on the door, they give them the last plate of food they have. Those are Christ-like people. Modern Christians, that's something completely different. Something completely different. And if that offends you, I'm sorry. It's it's never my position to offend you, but I'm trying to share with people my discoveries as I'm walking forward and evolving what I know, seeking God and studying to show myself approved. All right, I'm gonna go through comments and I'm gonna get out of here. All right, let me see. Gerard, you really be enlightened by the book of Misquoting Jesus by Bart Ephraim. Thank you, Brother Jonathan. If you got a link, post a link. I think because most people, like even me nowadays, John, I like audiobooks. I do a lot of audiobooks. I don't do a lot of reading, and most audiobooks are on all over the internet. So even if you don't have time to read, when people give you recommendations like that, I mean, if you got a link, post a link. But if you got an audio book, people are quicker to click that because a lot of people are driving right now. And please look at the road. Don't look at me. Look at the road. Focus on the road. We got enough people dying for stupid reasons like war and violence. But you can click and listen to that on your trip. You know, so I'll check that out. I mean, I was looking at a lot of because there's a lot of things to that, John. Like, we just don't know. We don't know. Wasn't there a codex that was found? I forgot where it was found, but a lot of the Muslims were like promoting it because they were talking about all the things that they were saying about Jesus that just weren't true, that they've slowly altered, and that this codex that was written in lead, I think it was, that they showed that the scriptures are being modified. They weren't just modified once. They weren't just modified by, they weren't the hundreds of canons. They weren't just modified by the kings and the popes and the priests, but that we are literally still modifying them today. Then we're not modifying them based in new discoveries and what we know. We're modifying them just to keep people in line, to keep controlling what people think. Like the last modification I was looking at that somebody was talking about was how before 1940s all the Bibles had in them that the planet was 6,000 years old. And then they stopped putting that in the Bible somewhere. I think it was the Gideon or something like that. They don't put that in there anymore. Because, you know, now we got trees that are older than 6,000 years. We can prove that the planet's older than 6,000 years, but they needed people to keep believing it. You still people run around here today, still think that the planet is 6,000 years old. And I'm not like smiling or nothing. I'm not laughing at nobody. I'm just simply saying that, you know, once we learn something new, we need to use that to affect what we know and our activity. What you believe is something different. What you think is something different. I think that's a critical thought aspect that you will help drive what we know. But once we know it's not true, then we know we got to evolve. We know we got to upgrade our thought patterns. We certainly got to upgrade our activity. And if one of the greatest things of what we know now, outside of these scriptures always being evolved to get you to fight with other people more and keep paying your tithe or keep going to temple and hating other people, one of the other things that, you know, getting you to do the things to defy the gods, everything that the gods taught about loving other people, is that all these religions have the same source. And I think that's the hugest thing. I think that's the biggest thing, that they all have the same source, whether it's Hermes, Trismegistus, or Thoth, or even before that. If we have modern information to know that something predated all of this, and that all these religions are in conflict over translations. They're in conflict over what scriptures they had at the time or what books or scriptures they chose to include. That conflict isn't over anything other than who authored the translations of the time of what they had. And that's the dumbest thing. It's just the dumbest thing on the planet to be in conflict with your cousins because they're believing in another man's translations of the time. It's crazy. It's crazy. All right, I'm gonna do comments. Gonna get out of here. Let me see. Their planet is 6,000 years old. Their contrived paradigm, not the geological planet, the socio-political planet. Right, exactly, bro. Fine, man. You say stuff hurt my head. And all these big words. You needed smaller words, layman terms, but on point with it, which is, you know, these things are geopolitical. They're just controlled. They're just farming. I'll say things and people get confused sometimes. And if you focus on the fact that we are on a farm, we are on this big, massive slave plantation. Why do I keep saying I got to pick cotton? Because I got to pick cotton every day because we have a world based in conflict. And if you're on the bottom, you die or go to prison at best. We are on a plantation. We are being farmed. We are literally livestock. We have fears, and they make us take on certain behaviors for those fears. And if you fear God, which is another scripture, I guarantee you, if you go back to the geoglyphs, God would never say, fear me. Why in the hell would you create something and say you need to fear me? That logically makes no damn sense. As above, so below. Have you ever looked at your child? You created your child and said, you need to fear me. You ever try to scare your child like that? If that is, please pick up that 1-800 number right now, call Child Protection, have them take your child away, because you don't deserve a child. You don't put fear in children. You put love in children. You give them confidence. I forgot where I was going with that. Oh yeah, right? But if you can get people to fear something, human beings, creatures that are becoming sentient, you can then farm them. You can get them to get rid of their concepts of sovereignty and respecting each other and loving each other. You can get them to be okay with rape and war and violent activity and defying the God, you know? And so there's a whole geopolitical thing, which is why the CIA would classify a freaking essay on the Adam and Eve story, because it's too close to being the truth. It's too close to people realizing all these things have the same source, and there are bigger, more important things to focus on that we know than to continue to drive wars and conflict, financial, psychologically, voting, or physical war over what we think. Oh Lord, the okra people done got here. Who let them in? Why y'all? We are not doing okra today, man. We are on an important topic. Take that nasty, slime slug of a plant. Get that out of here. All right, I'm gonna go through comments. We're gonna get out of here. Let me see. Try to call out. This is the highest I can go in comments where I can see. Yvonne is saying, try to call out the people who are on the measles craze bandwagons. It's impossible to do. No, it's not, Yvonne. It's not impossible, girl. No, it's not. You know, all you got to do is say it. Just say it and walk away. Just say Brady Bunch. Just say Brady Bunch and walk away. Did you watch Del Bigtree's video the other day? Oh my gosh, I was blown away. Y'all haven't seen Del. Y'all, he's on YouTube and Facebook. You just need to watch it. He started playing all the old videos, all the TV shows we watch when people get the measles, mumps, chicken pox and all that, how we laughed and joked with it. We couldn't wait to get the measles. We couldn't wait to get the chicken. We couldn't wait because you get it. You don't have to go to school. You sit at home, play, yeah, I got the chicken. It's like, yes, you couldn't wait to get it. And they remember that. They don't have to watch Brady Bunch. They remember that. People are just easily controllable because they're fearful, right? They're in this tribe, and the leader of their tribe says vaccines are safe and effective. Glyphosate is safe and effective. You know what I like to do? So this applies to the EPA and all of this vaccine crap. So, oh, it's safe and effective, huh? Glyphosate doesn't cause cancer. I bet you that whoever heads the EPA won't drink a glass of it. I bet you they won't. And the people that love the EPA and support it and work for them, they sure enough won't either. They know better. They're not stupid. I don't think people are fooled so much as they're happy pretending to be fooled for control and fear. Fear's behind it all. Nah, call them out. Call them out. We all done had that mess. We had chicken pox parties. Everybody get together, spreading on each other, hug, bruh, play Twister, whatever. Nah, and post the video. Keep posting that video of Brady Bunch. You know, they tried to take it down. They were saying, I don't know who the broadcast, the owner of the lights, they were trying to take that episode of Brady Bunch down. But this is what he said, and that's how you know we're winning. The truth is actually starting to make some headway. People are starting to realize, you're starting to make the mainstream look really, really ridiculous. And that's when I think people change, because people don't like to look ridiculous. And if you're still believing the mainstream narratives on anything, you're a fool. The kings and lords always want to control you, like this word conspiracy theorist. I like the word conspiracy realist. Who's that says that? Damon Barry? Somebody says that. Conspiracy realist. Looking at what we know to determine what's real, not what you think and what you fear. Conspiracy realist. The kings have always conspired against you. The coffers have always conspired against you. They've never stopped. They're not trying to help you today. They've never helped you in the past. You have history. We know that. You have history. You can look back in history. They're never on your side. The Democrats are not on your side. The Republicans are not on your side. They are just armed. They're the acting department marketing arms of the elite, the kings that actually run everything and own all the coffers. And all they're going to do is drive you into conflict with somebody else so they can get everything everybody has. Soul of man, Brother Deshaun, good afternoon. Yeah, everybody has a soul. Everybody has a soul. You have a spirit. It's just spirit technology, spiritual technology that we've forgotten about. It's not a religious thing. It's a quantum physics thing, a science thing, which is always what was just always true until they convinced people that we're these little dead creatures that don't have souls. You're biological goo that crawled out of primordial soup. What is that to be proud of? That you were an accident of explosions and burps and gas and methane in a swamp. Who can look back and be proud of that? That's why they convince everybody that they're just dead and there's nothing there. If you can convince people of that, then they're okay with dead activity. They're okay with dead-like behavior. They're okay with demonic thought. Your body is a temple of God. Yes, I believe that too, Deshaun. Your body is a temple. Take care of it. Do not put anything the EPA says is safe or effective or big pharmaceutical companies. Just do it as a philosophy. Just do it as a principle. If they say it's good and delicious, don't put it in your body. If Coca-Cola is healthy, don't do that. Look back at your ancients. What did they eat? Go eat that. What did they drink? Drink that. Let me see. So that's what Joe Biden is trying to do. I don't know what Joe Biden is trying to do, Bofan. I don't even watch. I don't really want to know, you know? But you can tell me, you can talk about it. They were not written by the apostles. They are named after. Yeah, right, Brother John, right. And that's the scary thing. And that's what that the Kodak was. The Kodak was actually written, I want to say it was, I think they said it was a couple hundred years or like 100, 200 years after Christ died. And most of the Gospels were written like a couple hundred years later and they weren't even there. But yeah, I think what happened, find these ancient texts and they start to write them down. Why? Because it has to be from the gods, because it was in the ground. Everybody knows that. If it's scripture in the ground, it's been down there deep in a cave and vault, it has to be directly from God. It can't be a translation from a translation from a translation. It has to be directly from God. So that's interesting, but I don't know anything about the Kodak. I think I heard about it a long time ago. Book of Ezekiel talks about UFOs, angels, aliens, and the chariots, the drove. Jesus' bloodline continues on through many. And that makes sense to me, Daniel. It makes sense. I mean, this is why you got to take out, like with the book of Enoch, and you got to take out the book of the Watchers. You got to take those things out, because if people realize there's something greater than government and kings and lords and fighting other poor people and stealing what they have, if you convince people that they come from a great godlike source, hologramish programmer of something, DNA editing, genealogical scientists that came here, you convince people of that, then, you know, they have a lot of things to be proud of, so they'll stop acting like little greedy bastards, and two, they'll stop trying to kill other people. They'll stop with the conflicts. And you only make money day trading. You only make money farming people into conflicts. Good morning, Phyllis Key. You said you hear good. Good morning, Augustine. What's happening on YouTube? Love and light. Other truth seekers, all right. Love and light. Okay, good. Y'all just listening. Y'all kind of quiet over there on YouTube. It's a bunch of y'all. It's like 10 of y'all over there. Y'all quiet. Say something. You can say something. We all grown here. The only time I ask people not to say something is if you have no idea what you're talking about. Then you just ask a question, and one of these nice people here will answer the question for you to send you. It's not going to go good for you. It's not going to go good at all. This is a beautiful community that we got right here. They keep me honest. They're going to keep you honest too. And that's how we all work as a hive together. That's how we get smarter. People from all different communities. All right, let me go down. A couple more minutes and I'm okay. Just read an article about a pair of teens stranded at sea. They made an AO. Emma, what you talking about? You talking about that movie on Netflix, that show I like called AO? No, it's called OA. Yeah, you need OA. Y'all need to watch this show called OA to blow you away. Netflix. There's a lot of truth in Hollywood. Oh, I was watching a lecture the other day because I don't have a life. I just I just try to learn all the time. And in his lecture, he was talking about how the gods always speak to the writers first, how the gods always speak to the storytellers first, whatever gods are, if they're from other dimensions, on clouds, other planets, whatever, I don't know, humans in the future, whatever you want to believe they are, microbiology, fungi, us all collectively in the ecosystem, whatever. Said that gods speak to writers first, storytellers. Because it's the storytellers that everybody listens to. It's not the kings and lords and all of those that are completely devoid of any connection with a god, the governments, the politicians, but that it speaks to the storytellers. That's why I think a lot of truth is hidden in Hollywood movies. I think a lot of truth is hidden in books. A lot of truth is hidden in science fiction. I think there's a lot of truth in there. But that was his point. And he was saying, yeah, that the gods actually speak to writers, those who have the ability to communicate with the people first, the musicians, stuff like that. And that makes sense. Or it could be because, you know, the creative people like musicians, you know, they say the thing about music is that musicians somehow when you hear music, your right and left brain are actually activated. There's activity in both. And that most creators of music, something to the effect of like it connects the left and right side brain together and creates more dendrite connections, that there's something about, could be something there. I don't know, could be something there. I don't know enough to know though. Let me see, a prayer and we're saved by a boat named Amen. Ooh, Emma, don't get everybody in trouble now. Start telling people why they say the word amen. They're not actually, no, that's not, they spelled it a little bit wrong, but it was a vibration. They're trying to say Amun. It came from Egypt. But I think Egypt got it from somewhere else, so don't worship the Egyptians. I think they got it from something else too. There's a root going way back. But start praying and saying Amun Ra at the end. But I think they say everything's vibration. They say it's not really about the words, it's about sound. Like if wave energy, if we're wave energy and everything's wave energy, and greater things Christ did, we will do, and we hold the power of life and death in our voice. These are all scriptures. These are all audible things. They think they built the pyramids by vibration. Then it makes sense that there would be words to close out a prayer, words to open a prayer, words to kind of open some sort of vibration, sound connection that engages that quantum entanglement with whatever began the universe. It makes sense to me. I don't understand it. I won't kill it. Somebody said Om. It's not Oprah. No. Who said that? Who said Didi says Om? Yeah, it could be Om. I mean, that people. If you got Tibetan monks in the freaking mountains and they're saying Om for like 8,000 years. I know what 8,000 years, probably like 800. Whatever. They doing that. To me, it's something there. They're not doing. If somebody came to you and said, listen, we're going to sit in a cave for about 8,000 and we were just saying, Om, and it didn't actually happen, nothing didn't do anything, would you go? Remember, the same brain that's in your head was in their head. Something to that. No, it's not okra. Okra makes me want to vomit. When you say okra, don't you want to vomit? Like the whole end of it is like, rah. Everything's vibration. That could be like a international vibration thing among humans to make them all just have a vomit reflex. You might like okra, but at the end of it, you want to, I know I said okra, didn't I? Don't get me in trouble. That woman a billionaire. She has ruined everything in my life and everybody in my state. Just leave that woman. I didn't say nothing about no daggone okra. I said okra. All right, let me go down. Yep, the Egyptians, but we can't worship them, Daniel. People are always looking for something to worship. Don't worship the Egyptians. Don't worship Kemet. Don't start a new cult based on they knew something truer than the modern people. Just accept that we never really know. Let's keep digging back in history till we get back to the root of how all this began. You're painting your bathroom right now with Didi. I hope you have on a mask. You're not breathing those chemicals. You will get you. And we already know you were out there with Flint. You're already having issues there anyway. So you shouldn't be. Number one, you shouldn't be painting anyway. Y'all need to get on Didi. You shouldn't be painting a damn thing. You already fought for freedom. There was a nurse out there helping people during the pipeline nonsense when the U.S. government turned on its people for probably the 100th time and did some treasonous act and posse comitatus and showing that they're all treasonous bastards. They all need to be thrown on an island somewhere in Syria and let everybody in Syria know that they're over there. So you need to put on a mask and not be painting at all. Protect yourself. You always got to protect yourself. Protect yourself from these liars and these chemicals. None of these chemicals belong in our bodies. Your body's temples, like Deshaun just said. Your body is a temple. Always remember that. Always remember that. I always remember that. Somebody give me some Twinkies or something. So you bring me some Twinkies, it's gonna be a problem. We minute got to turn the video off. Somebody put some Twinkies right. Oh damn. But hey, I drink my smoothies. And I eat healthy. I ate a lot of deep leafy greens here recently, so I can eat my Twinkie. All right, let me see. Yet we say we are free. I know, Jasmine, people lie to themselves all the time because it sounds good. It sounds good to say we're free, liberty, we're free. We are not free. As long as you got the majority of Americans scared of their shadows and fantasy gods that hate them and they hate, and fat pastors, and they hate, but they send all their money to, and the politicians that hate them, but they love them. And as long as you got fear, there's no freedom. This is a plantation. We are all slaves. The only good thing about today and being a slave is it's not based on color nor race. It's not based on anything other than you were born in the wrong place, and the wrong place you were born, you were deeper a slave. I don't play any of that supremacy stuff. Don't come to me with any of that. Let me see, Brother Gerard. So what is life all about? Kevin, and if I knew, do you think I'd be here? Brother Kevin just asked, he said, what is life all about? If I knew, do you think I'd be? I would not be. If I knew what life was about, brother, I'd already be ascended. I'd be enlightened. What did thought call it? I wouldn't be down here messing with y'all monkeys. No. You think I'd be chasing bananas? Crawling up trees still and sniffing anuses? No, I would not act like a monkey if I knew. I guess. You know what? I think that we're on this path of like just trying to become better. That's what I think. Better. Why? I don't know. We are sensors. We are sensors. I did a video about that a long time ago. We are sensors. We are like one little piece of your DNA that you can see on less than a little tip of a pen can store like so many terabytes of data. Like we are definitely data taking devices. Now, who's downloading the data? I have no daggone idea. What they're doing with the data, I have no daggone idea. I think we are playing out on some great stage, and whatever this thing is that's splitting across fractal universes and fractal dimensions and fractal governments and political parties and crazy people fighting with each other. Whatever that thing is, that God thing that we're all a part of, it wants data. Like it's data hungry. And it kind of makes sense, as above, so below. Because think about it, the older you get, thank you, Kevin. I mean, the older you get, the more information you want to collect, right? Like when I was young, it was like, oh no, I'll just throw on some Tribe Called Quest and some AC/DC, get in the car, and I'll just bop and going crazy, getting car accidents and stuff. Well, not car accidents, but police, get speed tickets. But the older I get, the more I want to know what's true, the more I want to listen to lectures, the more I want to learn and discover and expand my mind. So if this God thing was billions of years old, or if it's just like a baby, it's like a little toddler and this is their science fair project, but it's with a race that's billions of years old, yeah, it would make sense that it just wants to collect the data. It just wants to learn. So, I don't know. Kevin, you messed my head up with that, but I would not. I am the wrong one. Don't ask me what I think life. I have no idea what life is about. I just know that we shouldn't be killing each other. That's what I know. That's all I know. I know that we shouldn't be murdering each other. I know that it is 5/3/2019. If you're in the UK, it's 3/5/2019. I know that we are spread across this planet. We are divided, and at this date and time, we should not be using the word rape. We should not be using the word. We should be looking back in history and saying, oh, remember back when we were violent and stupid and we used to vote against our neighbor and steal their rights for big corporations? We used to do that a long time ago. It was crazy. We were just Cro-Magnon. We were like Moses in the stone. Yeah, it was a good thing that finally we had somebody act like Moses and realize that we shouldn't have no slaves carrying stones. We realized we shouldn't be abusing each other. I think we got to go in the right direction. And we're not. Not all the time. Not all the time. All creatures on Earth are animals, including humans, but humans are the only animals capable of being monsters. Ew. Go on, Susan. Girl, where you put your head at someday? Some days you just say stuff just like, what the heck? You might be an alien, y'all. Susan she might be. Between her and Kevin and Daniel and a few of y'all, y'all might be some aliens. You would never know, because if y'all were actually here from somewhere else, you'd never tell us. I know you just like say smart things and drive. That's powerful. That's powerful. Define monster. Like most creatures, they eat just to fill their bellies. The human being is the only thing with a bank account that will murder entire nations and just beg for more nations to blow up and steal their oil and murder them. All under democracy and freedom, and we're trying to free the people. Maduro's a bad guy, so we're going to murder a couple 100,000 people. We're the only things capable of being monsters. You are so right about that. Absolutely. We have all been conspired against in our personal lives, and we are continuously conspiring against by our government. We absolutely are, Lori, which is why there's no such thing as a conspiracy theorist. We're always being conspired against, and they're always trying to get us to conspire against somebody else. And really stupid people fall into that activity, and we're supposed to be evolving beyond that. Let me me see. Y'all have to know about the Septuagint and the Pentateuch. I know about the Septuagint. I don't know about the Pentateuch. I remember I studied the Septuagint and the Vulgate, like the earlier scriptures, but that looks like another one you got. I don't know anything about it. But I know it predated the modern Bible. It's been altered many times. Literally, where they come from, the parables. Well, right, and a lot of things were geoglyphs, right? Deshaun, like a lot of the things were geoglyphs that Moses looked at. And people like basically formed religions off of scriptures written by a man looking at pictures of birds and shells and monkeys and fruits and trees, and that Moses thought that's what he was reading. That's what I'm saying. We got to evolve what we know. We know at the time Moses didn't have a library and a university and peer review. He didn't have all those things. And so we need the modern linguists and scientists and archaeologists, and you need the ministers and pastors, those theologians who study some of the scriptures and don't pick a side, hopefully, to talk about what is actually true. You know, there are people who want to move forward. There's people who want to stay locked into the anti-godish things that they do today. Yes, Lori, all people are cousins. Absolutely. You want to see some truth in the media? Watch the movie Divergent. Ew, Katie, I remember the movie Divergent a little bit. I have to go back and see some clips, but I remember it was a good movie. I remember that it tweaked into some of the things that they're starting to prove are true. Oh, one thing I want to know, somebody told me that they proved that astral projection is a fact. I want to see the link. So I didn't see the link. I want to see the link. Somebody got a link for proving that there was a scientific study outside of the declassified document. I know the problem with declassified documents, sometimes they do stuff to like drive us in other ways, but somebody said it was a recent research in astral projection and they actually proved that those people astral projected. I want to see that. Because it opens up everything. It opens up everything. It's like I love quantum physics because it really shows us that we don't know anything. It's the most powerful thing on the planet. It shows you that people can walk on waters and they can park rivers and they can fly and they can do everything else because we're just wave energy. Everything is just a wave. All right. Let me see. What else we got? How do those monks use chanting to levitate? Well, yeah, right, John, and that's a good point. I have a friend, John, that went to India, and he literally came back, and he said he was out somewhere, and he said he was sitting there watching somebody levitate right on the street. People were just walking by like it was nothing, somewhere in India, and he was just like, we don't know anything, and the guy he was going nuts kind of after he got back because it blew up his world. It blew up his world. If you can do a certain level of make somebody levitate, vibration, that's powerful. That's why I think the CIA and all them want that. They want to understand. It's just a technology. It's like a vibration. It's not even a spiritual technology per se. It's probably just a vibration type of technology. Knowing those things, but you convince a whole planet of people that it's false and only you can do it. Only the FBI or CIA or MI6 spent knots of floating and doing stuff. Then yeah, they can dominate. The rulers can always rule. Like somebody was talking about, there are 100 families that run everything, and that they're all closely related. I don't know, Barack Obama's related to Bush, and he's related to Trump, and he's related to Putin, and everybody's all related. There are all these bloodlines that always stay at the top because they keep this embargo on information and keep everybody believing in this dead world, this zombie world, that we're all the walking dead that all actually kill each other, eat each other's brains, and steal each other's resources. There's an analogy that kind of makes some sense, but I'm get out of here, so I need to do my last couple of comments and run. Luke 12 is happening now, 51 to 53. All right, I have to look that one up, Daniel. I don't remember what it was exactly. Om sounds similar to the noise the earth makes while monks say it. Oh, okay, then that makes sense. Oh no, that Didi Okra does not make that sound. Stop it. One is the levitation sound, the other is the vomit sound. Let's keep it. It makes stomachs crunch. It makes them queasy, so they'll throw food out. It's a way to kill your enemies, right? Because they say Okra on the battlefield, and everybody's stomach would crunch up, and they vomit it all out, and they couldn't actually fight. It's just a weapon. It's just a weapon. Good morning, Helene. I ain't seen you in a minute. Where you been? Didi is a warrior. Yeah, Didi is thug life. Didi, We go somewhere, y'all, and Dee Dee is on the other side. Either I'm not fighting or something else. That woman is. That's why I'm saying this whole fight like a girl thing. You need to put that away. Don't even bring that. Don't bring that to lunch. That's a lie. Always has been. Amun was an Egyptian demon, correct? No, Amun was a king. Amun Ra was a king, and they say he was a god. What does that mean? I don't know. Is he good or bad? I don't know. I'm not sure this whole good bad thing exists. I'm not sure it exists. I just think you got different forces that control things on this planet, and you got this big G god, and you got all these little G gods. But to us, a god is always something that has more power than what we have. And those powerful things like to control force. I think humans in the future come back to modified things. I think we call them little G gods. I think the angels and demons are little G gods, and they've always had their influence in driving things. I look at it as above, so below, like today. Like Democrats and Republicans are not bad things. They're not bad people. They want to drive things forward in a different kind of way. But they can't really see the evil in their activity. They can't really see the evil in denying and violating other sovereign creatures' actions. So I don't think there's good and bad. I think that maybe there's just enlightened and not enlightened. Maybe that's it. I don't know. All right, let me see. But Roundup is now safe. Right, Sandra, and that's my point. We live in an oligarchy. We need to look at the evidence. Roundup is now safe. Everybody can just start putting it in your Kool-Aid. Please don't put that in your Kool-Aid. I can't even say that in joke. That it is poison. It's a carcinogen. It's like I was saying on Bell's feed the other day. I'm not anti-vaccine. I'm not anti-anything. I'm just live a natural life, put natural things in your body, and your body will work the way it's supposed to. When you put things that corporations make in laboratories that have never been in your body in thousands of years, only do that if it's going to save your life. If it's not going to save your life, then don't do it. And damn it, don't ever put anything in your body or your children's body that has a side effect of death. Never. I don't care what doctor says it. Unless your child is dying right now, and that was the real thing that kind of broke it finally. For me, in having discussions about vaccines, the fact that most of them have a side effect of death tells me everything I need to know. I mean, think of it like this. Your kid comes to you, Daddy, you had the fun part. Daddy, I want to get on the ride. I want to ride the demon dying ride. It's called demon ride. Daddy, I want to ride the ride. Okay, all right, let's read the sign. Okay, you got to be this tall. You got to be this age. And a side effect of riding on this roller coaster is death. What? Nah, you ain't riding that. You ain't riding. Nope, it's not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. Okay, another example. Tylenol, aspirin, headache medicine, candy, anything. I don't know. You read on the label, ingredients, and a side effect says death, a potential of death. It's like, why am I even here if I'm taking something that could kill me? Like, how does that make any sense? It only makes sense if an oligarchy owns your government. If your government is one big corporation and greed decides everything it decides, and it's got a massive media that convinces everybody, builds their perspectives, and always gives them the greed solution for everything, then it makes sense. Let me see. Substance, man-made. Substances, man-made, cloud our perception. Yeah, they do. They do. Everything man-made clouds your perception, clogs up your brain, clogs up your arteries, kills you and murders. It's just your body doesn't know how to process it. It's not organic. If it's not organic, your body's never seen it. Don't put it in your body. Let me see. A side effect of riding in a car is death. Ooh, good point, Lori. All right, go on with you. Go on, bring it out. Bring it out. That's true. Let's think about that. So a side effect of riding in a car could be death, and that is true. That is true. So let's quantify. Let's qualify. All right. So a child doesn't have to ride a roller coaster; it just makes them happier in life. But just as a person takes Viagra to be happier in life, right? So you make those qualifications. But the way I think about it is, if you need a car to buy food, to pay taxes and make an income, or your government kills you, that's death too. If that walks you into mass incarceration, that's death too. So in that analogy, in that side effect of having a car that's required for you to feed your family, then you're actually taking a risk and that you might die anyway. And so how that works in how I think about it with like the whole vaccine, flu, whatever conversation is we've been on this planet for millions of years without their vaccines. The human body creates its own immunity, right? When it comes to measles, why is measles making a comeback? Well, it was on its way out. It mutates and comes back and changes. And this is what Dell was talking about yesterday. It mutates and comes back, and mutates and comes back. But when you take away people's lifelong immunity, what happens? Like it can come back every couple generations if you have lifelong immunity. But if you give them immunity that only lasts for 3 years, assuming their vaccines actually work, 3 or 4 years, you can make a business out of helping a pathogen evolve and become worse. Think about it like that, right? This is what I'm saying. When we have an oligarchy and greed decides everything, greed doesn't think about the future and helping viruses to mutate faster to threaten the human race. Corporations just want to make money. And if big pharma's allowed to do it, they will do it. They're not evil, they're just a business. They will do what's allowable, and their mandate is to make profit. So they're going to do anything to maximize profit. And it just so happens that destroying the human body, destroying ecosystems, and helping viruses mutate faster, it just makes more money than people getting natural immunity and their bodies learning how to fight off the viruses. And I guess on top of that, the other point was they were talking about a study that showed that when you have natural immunity, was it to measles or whatever? You have to watch Del Bigtree. He's a doctor. You got to watch his thing from yesterday. He talked about how you're predisposed to cancer, more cancers if you don't have natural immunity. And that's huge too, because my basic concept is we actually don't know how the human body works, but the human body knows how the human body works. We don't know how the human body, your pharmaceutical industry that has no idea how all the millions of systems work together with microbiology and environment, nobody has any ideas about that. But your body does. Trust your body, trust how things naturally went. So that's my point on that. That's all I'm trying to say. But I'm not anti. I think if you want vaccines, you should be able to take them. And I think you can have mine. You can have my flu. You can have all of that. You can have all of my everything, except for my Twinkies. You can't have my Twinkies. The correct sound frequency can be used as good medicine, or other sound frequencies can kill you. True. Well, it makes sense, Lily. There was a time I would look at that and I would say that that's crazy. And this is my last thing, I gotta go. I would say that that's crazy. I don't say it's crazy now, because if we are wave energy, and we know we are, and science agrees with that, we are a wave, then every system in your body can be modified by a wave. The wrong frequencies can cause a lot of damage and problems, and the right ones can cause a lot of great things to happen. And this is probably the greatest risk in this idea of rolling out a 5G across a planet. Something's pumping out even more frequencies now in a time where we've discovered we are frequencies. We have no idea what that's going to do to people. We have no idea what it's going to do to animals and bugs and biology and microbiology. It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard of. It's different than radio waves, not in terms of the gigahertz factor, but just in terms of the fact that back then we didn't think we were wave energy. We didn't know we were wave energy. Back then we knew we're biological. So it actually made sense for them to roll out radio towers and shortwave radios and televisions and all that, because it was outside of our understanding. If now we understand that we are wave energy and we are affected by the waves, for it to keep going forward, that probably has to be one of the worst signs that we are not a sentient race, a race of people. Not only that, but it means that our government actually isn't on our side. They actually either they aren't smart enough to understand that, they don't have enough critical thought, or they truly are from some sort of a chosen family, some sort of a bloodline that's okay to murder the rest of us and not do anything in our stead. Anyway, listen, I gotta get out of here. It's Gerard, love y'all to death. Have a great day, have a great weekend, and continue to evolve and move forward. You gotta be an upgrade. Work on being an upgrade from the last generations. Not that you're smarter than them, but we discover more than what they do. And we gotta tweak what's true. And what's constantly true is when we all look out for each other, great things happen. When we continue to ally up against each other and be played by these billionaire elites that run this world, really bad things continue to happen. Anyway, y'all have a great weekend. Gotta go. Gerard, I'm out. Bye-bye.